What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
And Daniel Acevedo.
Going on, guys?
What's going on? So welcome to Wednesday's episode. So Monday and Tuesday are topics. Wednesdays we reserve for discussions, and then Thursdays Ask a CISSP, and for Fridays everything else, movies, books, games, all that good stuff. Check out the bonus episode. So the night of Friday, we recorded an episode with Elizabeth Stevens. She is the CEO of DBS Cyber. So we talked about CrowdStrike kind of as it's happening. So it's a really good episode, in my opinion. Definitely check it out. And then the team, we talked about it on Monday. So check that one out as well, right? So we have a little bit more information, another, two opinions. So we're really getting it in. So definitely check that one out. Really good episode. And then about covers it. So please subscribe. We're trying to hit 500 subs in the near future, 1,000 by the end of the year. With that being said, check out the newsletter. A lot of content, good stuff. With all that being said, Shannon, go ahead.
All right, everybody. This one actually comes from IGN.com, right? So you don't expect to see too much when it comes to what this podcast is about. Unless it's the Friday episode, right? You think IGN would to have to do with it. But this one is one that goes into the whole theme of what we do the podcast for, right? So this one, like I said, from IGN.com by Rebecca Valentine. And the title of this one is Microsoft DEI Lead Blasts Company in Internal Email After Team is Reportedly Laid Off. So diversity, equity, and inclusion is what DEI stands for. And what ended up happening here is the Microsoft lead, they were notified that their services will no longer be required, right? Is what ended up happening here through Microsoft. And Microsoft, to be fair, they have done a fair amount when it comes to putting their money where their mouth is. And we've talked about this in the past on the show, even. Like they've gone to where they've helped out the HBCUs. They've gone and invested money in I don't want to call them like training camps, but like areas where you can train in areas that are usually have a higher concentration of minorities. Microsoft has done that, right? Google
campuses.
As well. Campuses. That's a better way to say it. Yeah, campuses. Yeah. But they this one, it kind of hurt my heart a little bit when I saw this, right? So it hurt my heart, but I can't say I'm surprised by it. And I don't want to get into politics or anything like that, but there is writing on the wall to where DEI is not going to be something that's held so closely to companies in the future, right? Whether it be that they really didn't care about it, right? And it was a publicity thing, which is always a possibility, right? Or it's just one of those things where it's just too hard to maintain. And I say it's too hard to maintain because you're not going to be superficial with it. Like the people that are on these DEI teams, they don't just want you to do the words, right? There's actions that got to come behind all this stuff. So the fact that the Microsoft lead here for their DEI, I don't want to call it initiative, right? Because they've had it. And I told you guys before when we were talking offline, or maybe I put it in the chat. I have a friend that used to work for Microsoft, and he kind of left for other things he saw along the lines of this. And this was before 2020, right? So like 2020 is kind of where everything blew up, right? George Floyd, you had that, you had Brianna. You had different things that were happening to where it became a movement, right? And people had more, and be honest, people had more time to do it, right? Because we were all inside. COVID's had everybody inside. So like people were like, I can devote more time to this, right? Because I could do it from my computer that I'm working on at home anyway. But this is sad. Like Microsoft being the $1 trillion company that it is, the fact that they went this route, it's a little sad. But my hope is that this doesn't get rid of all efforts, but it's kind of hard to say. Like I said, the writing is kind of on the wall to me. This is Shannon's opinion, right? So don't take it out on Ryan. Don't take it out on Daniel. You know what I mean? But the writing is on the wall to where we're going to see more of this in companies, right? And it's because these companies, I think they're seeing the future and they're like, there's no incentive to do it, right? It's only headache and heartache going forward to continue down this road. So we'll see what comes of it. We'll see if there's other major corporations that follow suit. And here's the thing, this could be happening in the background anyway, but nobody was brave enough to put this out there and make it public like this DEI lead for Microsoft did. But Daniel, what's your thoughts on this, man?
It's a sensitive topic, right? So first off, I don't enjoy or I'm not happy about anybody losing their job, no matter what they're doing, right? But this is kind of a trend that we've been seeing. I think it was last year or earlier this year, there was a big IT layoff. There was like lots of layoffs from lots of the large corporations looking, I hate to use the term like shredding fat, but they were trying to like trim. Like the state of the economy is in a downward spiral in the US, right? So a lot of these larger corporations are looking at their ledger and they're realizing that the earnings are not there. And I'm not trying to like absolve Microsoft of anything here, but I don't know what their finances look. So either they're doing what's the word I'm looking for?
Like
They're
cost
casting
cutting.
for they're casting, yeah, they're forecasting to see what's coming ahead, and they're trying to look at departments. These initiatives were great, and unfortunately, I think they just decided that this is where they needed to move and cut from next. I mean, we talked about CrowdStrike earlier in the week, and obviously, cutting an IT or cyber department is the last thing you should have done. But these larger companies were doing that last year and the year before that, and those are just as needed, or not even more needed, because a lot of these high tech corporations and industries, everything's revolving online right now. So this is how you get those mistakes and errors happens, right? You downsize the department, you ask less people to do more work, and then errors happen. Not to say that this is not just as important, but I think a lot of these large corporations, they're just going to be cutting year to year different departments and different things for whatever the forecasts are. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if it's just it ties to the economy, everything's more expensive, everybody's suffering from West Coast to East Coast, or there's a larger picture here that economists would probably be able to pinpoint better. But a lot of hard terms were thrown around, bringing George Floyd and that whole movement into this, and kind of saying that a company like Microsoft, just showed face these 4 years and now is pulling back. I think that's kind of a little bit far the other way. I think Microsoft has shown time and time again that they really try to be very generous to the community and to quality, especially for a tech company. Kind of, those are kind of my overall thoughts. It's a good, well-written article, but what do you think, Ryan?
So please like, share, subscribe. Please support. So the whole premise of the podcast is a platform for people of color to highlight and showcase them and things of that nature. So when I saw this, I was like, this definitely has to be the Wednesday topic, right? We definitely have to discuss it. So from my perspective, right? So I've never worked for a large organization outside of the Department of Defense in a meaningful capacity, right? So as a kid, I worked for McDonald's, I worked for JCPenney's, I worked for these larger companies, but I was folding t-shirts and flipping burgers. So when I decided to retire from the military, my top 10 list included Microsoft and anybody else who was a huge name. I applied for all these different companies, things of that nature. It happened during the wave, right? It happened during the layoff wave. So I was able to find my footing in a mid-sized company because all the large ones were still advertising hiring, but they weren't really hiring because they're laying people off. And who are they laying off? They're laying off IT, they're laying off cyber, and they're laying off DE&I. This current layoff from Microsoft is one of the later ones because a lot of companies already shed their DEI departments years ago, right? I think Microsoft was able to withstand it a little bit longer because they are a $1 trillion company. So with all that fanfare out of the way, I find this to be disheartening. So the thing is, right, large companies, even mid-sized to smaller companies, these are not your families. They're not here to protect you. They're here for their shareholders, and they're showing face. So when you join these organizations, I would just forewarn you that this is what they do. They shed people. It's about percentages and numbers in order to continue to have max amount of profits. So DE&I may have been an initiative because of the moment. Maybe it was in people's hearts at that time, or maybe it was profitable. Maybe they were just trying to ride the wave. I don't know. I don't know the hearts and minds of people in these corporations. However, it does show that if it's not making the money, which DE&I won't make the money, cybersecurity is, I guess you would say, cost center. That might be the term. I might be using it incorrectly, but it is not going to make you profit unless you're selling it, right? If it's something that you're doing on the internal to keep yourself safe, to keep your your people safe and things of that nature, it can help you retain profit, but it's not going to gain you profit. And those are the things they're cutting. They're cutting people, they're cutting initiatives, they're cutting cyber, they're cutting IT. So they're showing face. It's all about profit, and it's not about necessarily protecting you or your, I don't even know what term to use in that. It's not going to shelter you. It's not going to protect you. When you go work for them, you are just working for them. They're not your family, and it just goes to show face.
So to get on something you said, not to jump on it, but like I disagree a little bit in that it's not making you money. It's not making you money quickly, right? Here's the thing.
Right.
By having diversity, you do bring in people from other backgrounds that can help you in the long run, right? But they don't want to play that long game right now. You know what I mean? Like we've talked about this all the time, like, right? So with us being on here, right? Like we have African American, we have Hispanic. Is that the correct term, Daniel? I don't want to offend you, right? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah. I don't want to offend nobody, right? But like no, I'm just saying because when you bring in people from other cultures and have other experiences, that can help you down the line
of mind, culture, neurodiversity, all that stuff,
But it's not quick, right? So like Microsoft is like, this is not making us money in the next 2 quarters, right? This could be their thing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say
absolutely.
It was 100%. But if it's not making them money in the next 2 quarters, they're like, okay, well that's a loss. That's a net loss at that point, right? Like we're just putting money into it to gain nothing from it. We're not going to go down that road. So that's where I disagree a little bit in that it's yes, it's not making them money now, but the long game is what they probably should be playing for. But it's not a concern right now because again, like as mentioned, shareholders, right? Like what do they see?
Yeah.
What are my dividends going to be at the end of the year, right? Like what am I getting back?
Like, they don't necessarily care about like what am I doing to help or promote a certain type of people or just people in general.
Yeah.
Getting more women in the field, getting more people of neurodiversity, people of color, people of different cultures, because it's not just about skin color; it's about just not having the same homogenous group, which is predominantly one orientation and one race.
Yeah,
for
but
for the IT and cybersecurity.
Yeah, but not to be like I'm not promoted by Microsoft here, but you have D&I initiatives that do that, but also hiring parameters, HR, CEO, and the top executives. There's parameters that are built into the organization, especially the organization as large as Microsoft, that they talk about that kind of hiring scheme anyway. This was just going not above and beyond, but it was just an addition to that already. And Microsoft probably sat down at the end of the day and said, hey, we're already meeting these fulfillments and we're probably checking these balances and doing these things and these initiatives within our organizational structure already. And we need to cut from somewhere. And unfortunately, that's where they decided to cut from.
Right. And I don't necessarily disagree with you. And I think you bring up a good perspective. My only gripe with it is that, so this episode hasn't aired yet. So I talked to Professor Roger White, and he talks about some of the stats. And Microsoft's only at 5.2% or something like that. People of color, Black people, or what have you. So that it's not representative of the population, 13%. And it's very far from it. So like that may be the initiative, and they have grown. They have gone from 5% to now like 5.2, 5.5. I golf clap, applaud you. But I can't sit here and give you a standing ovation, right? If you're cutting DEI, like that percentage is not going to grow to 13 anytime soon.
Yeah.
It won't be representative of the people. And like, so my only thing is because I'm not trying to bash Microsoft, because they do have some really good initiatives. They are doing a lot of really good things. They are putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to campuses and things of that nature. So they are doing stuff. But I think they could show their DEI department. How big was it? How much money did they just save? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From the DEI, because it wasn't like Windows. They didn't shutter Windows. They didn't shutter Sentinel. They didn't shutter, you know what I mean? Like the things that make them huge profits. It's probably like 100 people, 150 people, like maybe 1,000 people. I doubt it.
No, yeah.
So I don't think they thought that it would even be seen. The only reason it was brought up by IGN is because IGN is more leaning in one direction politically than another, right? But if you look at their comments, their comments are grossly negative on it. Like their comments are like, yeah, it's about time, and they're getting rid of all this DE&I stuff. Like, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy in there. I rarely read the comments. I just wanted to see which way the comments were leaning. The vast majority of vocal people hate the DE&I initiatives. He's just like, But why is that? Because it's not for those particular people.
Well, here's
Lack
the
of
thing.
education too. I think it's lack of education. The general consumer doesn't think these things. They think, yeah, the DE&I, they're saving millions of dollars. When the reality is, that's not the case. Right? So it's not this one shoe fits everything. Like if you look at other corporations or even within the DoD, there's misspending that if it's cut would have big effects. But the point you made, I thought about also, like how much is cutting the D&I actually saving a corporation as large as Microsoft?
I don't think they saved $1 million.
It's kind of shocking that kind of response from the comment section. But professional haters are on these things, so in troll farms.
That is true. Troll farms, yeah.
So here's the thing. Here's what I think it is, and we've talked about this on the podcast numerous times before, right? I think what the perception is that when you have DE&I, like the pie is this big, people think they're losing. If you do this, if you offer this piece of the pie is going away, right? We've talked about this. No, there is more of the pie to be had, right? Like it's not a matter of taking away from anyone, right? And so like when you bring up the percentages, right? 5.8 or whatever it is, right? So based off the last census that we had, which was really 2021, it got delayed a year because of COVID, right? I want to say the population of Black people in America, I think it was 16%. It jumped up from 14 to 16%. I think it went up to, right? So, but no, that's just Black, right? I'm just saying Black. Yeah. I'm not mentioning Hispanic, Latino, or anything like that. No. I know, but it's not even representative of that, right? But then when you go to the Hispanic and Latino population, that has jumped up as well, right? Like
Asian population,
population in America, like it's all gone up, right? So like just be representative of what you are servicing, right? And here's the thing, I understand if you're going to go international, it's even a larger percentage, right? Microsoft is international, right? You got whole countries that are mostly minorities, right? I'm not going to say it's only minorities in those countries, but you have a lot of Indian people in India. And isn't this what is the heritage of the CEO of Microsoft? Isn't he Indian?
I'm trying to remember. I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
I know. I'm not trying to stereotype. I'm not. But I'm trying to remember. And like we looked this up before. Years ago.
It's not Pichai, right? Is that's
Google. That's Google.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah. He is. Let me see. Indian American. Yeah.
He's Indian.
Satya Nadella.
Yeah.
But that's where the movement is going. Unfortunately, it's like you're seeing a lot of really loud rich people online, like your Elons and whatnot, saying it should be about it shouldn't be about percentages of representation. And I don't want to take it too far, but it should be they're saying it should be about
meritocracy. They push a meritocracy.
Right. It should be about merit.
Yeah.
When you're grossly outnumbered by the rest of the world, it just seems as though the stats are still leaning in the wrong, or I shouldn't say the wrong. I should say they're not representative of like you said, they are an international company.
Yeah.
But yet their employee representation is not that. From their own mouths, right? What they post online. And it's like if it's all about merits, it's just weird to me that it's not more representative. Because I can't remember the quote. I wish I was more read. But there's a quote by Albert Einstein where he's basically trying. It's a thought experiment. He's like, I wonder how many people, how many geniuses died in the cotton fields and what have you because they didn't have an opportunity to use their talent and what have you, because you're not made a genius, you're born a genius. And it's just not representative of the entire population. So how many people were in populations that were not represented very well?
They were undiscovered.
Yeah, right. Or undiscovered, right? Or not allowed to flourish because of their particular ethnicity and things of that nature. And I think that extends to today because there are so many people in the world that are different nationalities and things of that nature. Like the world is very diverse. And then you look at these $1 trillion companies and they are not. And it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't compute to me.
And it's because they hire what they know, right? Those people, like
It's
to
tribal.
kind of go to the quote, right?
Yeah.
So like those people aren't getting those opportunities at Harvards, the Yales, the Stanfords, right? Like they, whether it be
Yeah.
they come from poor backgrounds or they get poor education coming up, they just aren't getting those opportunities. So therefore, the people that are at the top that have went to the Yales and the Harvards, they hire what they know. Like, you know,
Right.
in the interview, all they're doing is talking about the school mottos and the secret clubs that were
Yeah,
in and
they're
whatnot.
singing
They're
a
like,
song, the school song.
yeah, you know what I mean?
They're doing the secret
doing
handshake.
secret handshakes. You know what I mean? So like that's and again, that's something we've also brought up in the show, right? We talked about that, but I'm not going to hit too much more on this, man. We could go on
Right,
longer
right.
than
Like
we
we're not trying to,
this.
we're not trying to go the
Yeah.
political route. We're not
I'm
trying
not.
to, yeah. Like, so it's just, I am disheartened by this news. And if Microsoft can't do it, then who can? That's my problem with it.
Yeah.
So maybe if you're a person who is trying to flourish within cybersecurity, IT, things that would be very advantageous to these large $20 companies, if you have an opportunity to bring your talents to someone smaller or mid-sized and perhaps flourish there, it may be the writing on the wall, right? Is to say, like, I'll take my talents elsewhere and make these people millions of dollars, as opposed to potentially going to a larger company that really is not going to allow me to flourish. I know that that'll also be something that people might say in the comments is conjecture and what have you. Like, I don't know. I've never worked for a $1 trillion company, so it is what it is. If a $1 trillion company would like to buy the podcast to squash us, millions of dollars, you can have it. And I'm going to take it to make a bigger DE&I platform. So it is what it is. But no, I think it's a really good conversation. And I think you guys all have valid points, right? I don't think anybody's saying anything out of pocket. It sucks. So we'll see what the future holds in these initiatives. There's still some companies that are still pushing it. Again, Microsoft still does have campuses and pipelines to bring in more people of color, diverse backgrounds, things of that nature. Women, they have initiatives overseas and what have you. So they have been putting a lot of money into it. I'm not saying they haven't. I just don't think that this cut did much for them. It just doesn't compute unless they know something I don't know, where this is going to cost them billions of dollars in the future. I don't see it. I don't know why you cut them, but it is what it is at this point. So please continue to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I probably lost like 5 people. But if you're still here, please share us with your nerdy friends, things of that nature. Sub, trying to hit 500, 1,000 by the end of the year. Hit up all the websites that go by our name, the other side of the Firewall, the other side of the FW, or Ask CISSP. We have a newsletter called the Weekly Rundown, just like the Friday episode, that runs down everything we talked about during the week, plus bonus content. And there's a bonus episode out there with Ask a CISSP and DBS Cyber. So check that one out. Talk about CrowdStrike. So hit me up on social media platforms. I go by RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can also hit up Daniel on LinkedIn by his full name, Daniel Acevedo. And then Chris as Chris Abacan. So don't miss him either. Stay safe, stay secure.